inspired to push through. Because there's a spark in you. Breakthrough or bust. Hello, hello. Welcome to Breakthrough or Bust. I am Kalua, and I am so honored to have one of my very favorite people with me today, Miss Donna Pate. How are you doing, Donna?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
Very good. Do you want to introduce the guy who's with you today?
Yes, this is my main squeeze. Come here, Trip. Come here, buddy.
Oh,
Here we go.
look at that
This
face.
is my sweet thing.
There we go.
Tail
Shut it
just
down
a
right now.
wagon.
The show's over. He just made the
Yeah.
whole show.
He just made the show. Thank you, buddy. All right.
Such
Go
a
play.
cutie.
He's
So
in my
Donna,
bowl.
as you know, we like to hear stories of inspiration about some of the breakthroughs that others have been through, because it helps us all kind of hang in there. That sometimes
Right.
when we're ready to give up, or we can just hear other people's stories and remember that we're not alone. A lot of the things that we feel are similar, and I find that a lot of us hide behind like guilt or shame, and we've all been there. We've all done things. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And of
Yeah, I
course we all
agree.
have many stories of breakthroughs, breakdowns before the breakthroughs. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yours and what your struggle
Okay.
was?
All right. I would say probably my struggle, and I hate to make it so broad, but something to the effect of I just didn't get the manual for life. Like things just came difficult for me, and I'm so friendly, and I'm so loyal, and I'm so loving, and I'm so that my dad was like, Donna, you're caring about people and you're being open with people is your best asset. It's also your worst asset, because you could see me coming a mile away, you know, as a friend of mine would say, and I dated the wrong guys. I just, it was just difficult.
Yeah.
I assumed everyone was like me, which, what happens when you assume.
Yep.
And so I met this guy, and I've talked in the past about having boundaries, but they never stuck.
Yeah.
And I would try to have them again, and then they wouldn't stick. Or, I would keep, I've been trying and trying. And you talk about sometimes wanting just to give up. The struggle is so hard. And you're
Yeah.
like, why does it have to be so hard? Why can't I get it? I see my friends or whatever, so and so, understands that or gets that or whatever. And so, but I met this guy, um, his, we'll just call him JF. And we were friends first a little bit, and then we dated for about 3 months, and we got married.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay. First, now I will say that my dad met my stepmom in months' time, 3 or 4, got married. They were married for up 30 plus something years. So it
I know
can.
a couple as well that, they met, and within 2 weeks of meeting, they were already talking marriage. And I think, within 2 or 3 months, they were married, and
Wow.
they've been together 27 years. They're still
Yeah.
best friends. They love each other to death. Yeah.
So
Some
it
people,
can, it can
yeah,
work,
can.
but it's not going to work if neither people are very healthy.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't. I was not in a space. I'd been through having some drinking problems, but I'm now almost 10 years sober,
Congratulations.
so yeah. And, so, I had been learning and growing and doing as every day, but I still trusted people, and I still thought people were like I am.
Mm.
So I met JF, and he was the first person that did not judge me. I could say anything, he didn't care. I could do anything, I didn't do. I'm not talking about illegal stuff. Just whatever. Just be me. I
Yeah.
could just be myself, not worry about having to hold my breath or have a face on, or you know what I'm saying.
You'll have to
And
suck in.
yeah, don't have to, just like sometimes you're with someone and then you realize when after they're out of your, they're gone, you
Yeah.
just kind of, you let go of whatever facade you were holding on to.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So like
Yeah.
I could breathe around this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we got married, and he, he turned, he changed completely
How
right
long?
after that.
Right
Oh,
after, huh?
oh, right after. I mean, and now I'm a positive person. Now I see things from a positive side.
Yeah.
And but he did not.
Mm-hmm.
He just did not like he would come in, and I would say, "How was your day?" He'd say, "Well, it was really shitty."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Well, did anything positive happen?" Well, I'm positive it was shitty. Okay,
Okay.
then. So and he cussed like a sailor, which, and I'm not proud of it, but I started the same thing. I
Yeah.
found myself cussing just as much, but you kind of, I don't know, you lean in and you do things you normally wouldn't be a part of you, or you just realize all of a sudden you're like, you just step down a few levels.
Well, just being immersed in something. So, if you're around somebody with an accent, sometimes you'll pick up their accent.
No,
So,
yeah,
yeah, just
I
yeah, sitting in that stew together.
right. Like I started stuttering because my favorite uncle stuttered.
Oh, wow.
So I did that, and now,
Yeah.
fortunately, I don't. But just being around all that negativity, and I stayed positive. Like I would not let that part of me die.
Yeah.
But I did go down in just a number of ways, just different, just certain things didn't matter as much, or it just all of a sudden, in such little tiny steps, you don't realize you've come down a little bit until you're there,
Yeah.
and you wonder what in the heck has happened to me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so
I remember, in my own story, which is very similar to yours, um, I was told, I've made your life better. And I remember going, how? Like, wait, what? Like, no, I remember it being here. And when did it end up down here? Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and I guess another a red flag, which I didn't know this when we got married, is that him his mother and he had a checking account together. Really? I mean, like, who does that?
Mama's boy.
So his mother, I might have been his wife, but his mother came first,
Oh, yeah.
and that never changed. And I didn't realize that there weren't two people sleeping in the bed. There were three people there.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It was that
Yeah.
intense.
And
If
when you think about it in the one way, it almost would have been an attribute like, oh, look how he honors his mother. He honors women. And
oh
yes,
yeah,
as
and
being
most
that
guys,
person who sees the best in everyone.
right, and most guys do respect their mothers in that way.
Yes.
A lot of guys do, they'll
Yes.
go cut the grass or they'll go help out and,
Yes.
they respect their mothers.
Perhaps
Um,
a joint checking account might be more of a warning
might,
for us all.
might be a red flag for, you know, anytime in the future. I'll
Yes.
be asking that question once I start dating again, if I ever do. I will. I'm sure I will. But um, there was a lot of cussing, there was a lot of negativity. Uh, nothing I did was ever good enough. I owned my own business. I was never bringing in enough money. I was just never doing enough. And his mother could not stand me. And I'm sure he told her whatever he wanted to make her not like me even more.
Yeah.
Oh, well, she don't make enough money and she spends all this and she's I have no clue.
Yeah.
No, you don't realize. And gosh, I remember for a year and a half going over there and just trying to be real polite and positive. And I always been over there, very respectful and smiling, but they barely talked to me.
Yeah.
She would talk to the room, like as if I mean, if I happened to make a comment, she might look at me. But that's, just so unhealthy for
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah.
And
You're not important enough for her to acknowledge directly. She'd rather talk openly to air, to the space, and whoever's listening can listen.
right. And the whole thing about falling into this type of relationship, I just should have known better.
Well, it's sort of the age-old story. The narcissist is drawn to the empath like a moth to a flame, you know?
right. And like I said, I just assumed everybody was the way I thought,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so, but it steadily just got worse and worse.
And I
And
think that's where a lot of people often get stuck in that space of I should have known better. How did I not see this coming?
well,
What's wrong with me that, they started off so sweet. Maybe I ruined this person or, like,
right.
and we
And
start internalizing all of this other garbage, which almost makes what they're doing even worse.
right. And also is like someone who's in an abusive relationship, they think they can't leave, they don't have the money to leave, they don't have the whatever, they don't know what's coming, so they'd rather stay with something they know
Yeah.
than leave for the unknown. And that
Yeah.
was kind of like that was my mindset with him. When I had been independent before him,
Mm-hmm.
but I was scared I couldn't be without him.
Yeah.
So it
Well,
was
when
just
you're being told on a daily basis that you're not enough, any belief starts off as a thought repeated.
right,
And so you start to believe that.
right. And I mean, I had one friend who would ask, "When are you going to leave him?"
Hmm.
So it wasn't like it wasn't out there,
Yeah.
I mean, um, but so go forward, um, 2 years later, and we had a New Year's Eve get together, a couple couples and one son, and just a nice, friendly, atmosphere type of thing. And okay,
Yeah.
um, he decided to get just falling down drunk, and I didn't drink, and our other friends there, they were having a nice time, but they weren't trying, and and I didn't see where he was for a good 15 minutes, and so I went to check on him, and he was on the phone with his son. He told me he was telling him Happy New Year's. Well, I found out later he was telling him, come pick me up. You know where I'll be. And he left the house by the side door. He jumped a 8-foot fence and started walking down the street, waiting on his son to pick him up. And they went to the mother's house, and I was calling around and trying to figure out what was going on, and what I mean. I walked up down the street trying to find him, and it seems he was having an argument with the family. He was like just in that mood, and they were mad at me for something, and I didn't know what. But anyway, so he came back in the next day around 4 as if nothing happened.
Wow.
And I will say that it was even started, I mean, it was starting up, it was ramping up the fussing and the cussing and the yelling and the smart remarks and the ugly remarks. And like for Christmas, you know, where you're newly married, you buy a couple things for each other at Christmas. You know, he didn't get me anything.
Wow.
And I had a little porcelain box that lifts up. You know, it looks like a little gift, but you open it and there's
Yes.
money in it. And I held that for the last gift to give him. And I said, well, since you didn't give me anything, can I have this money? He said, no. And so he was already on the way out the door. And there
Yeah.
have been some issues with texting and a girl and him taking up for her. And so, you know, it was really obvious.
Starting to see some of the red flags.
Right. Finally, you know, well, yeah, my eyes were opened. And then on February, the 1st of February, we were discussing something. It got to an argument as usual. And he was sort of laying but propped up on the sofa, and I was standing like a couple chairs away from him. And he said something so revolting and so ugly that I took like a little step back, and I had my phone like around my stomach, and I flicked my phone out, you know, just flicked, just like, I mean, just as almost like a just a shock reaction, you know, wasn't aiming or anything. Well, I happened to catch the side of his glasses, which made a little cut right here. And as calmly as if he were calmly as he was going to call for pizza, he called the sheriff. And I have never done anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, that is not who I was brought up to be.
Yeah.
You just don't touch another person. So even though I didn't aim, he calls the sheriff, and the sheriff's deputy comes over and talks with us both. And like I said, it was like he had amped up the everything. And he finally hit his mark. He finally got it right, and I did something.
Yeah.
You know, and so he went to stay with his mom, with mommy. Yes. And you know, the deputy sheriff said, oh, he said he's not going to have you arrested, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how are you feeling at this point, just as a person?
Like, I don't know what's up or down.
Yeah.
I mean, this is somebody that, I mean, I was under the impression that we were working on things, that we were going to see a counselor. You know, he acted sometimes in a very nice way, like he was trying. So I just assumed, and he said, well, you know, get a list of counselors down and I mean, I can't go during work, but we'll go. I just thought that's what we were doing. I didn't realize they was just a front. It was all just make believe.
Yeah.
Um, but the very next day after that incident, he came back and got clothing all by himself. And I remember he got a big black duffel bag and filled it up. And I was like, are you really doing this? Are you leaving me? And he just said, we'll talk about it later. And he left. And I didn't see him again. And he filed a restraining order on me, which he had the incident to fall back on. And
Mhm.
so that went into play, and for 3.5 years, they did some of the most god awful things to me. I mean, just cruel and vicious. Financially, I ended up having to file bankruptcy. Um, they even once, because I got the biggest truck I could, but I couldn't get all of my stuff in the first go round, and the driver couldn't go back a second time. So he had some of my things, and he kept that for a year and a half. And one of the times I kept trying to go get it, and there's about 3 times. One of the times they said, "Okay, you can come on this date. Between these 2 times, we'll have a sheriff here because we're all scared of you." And we get the truck. I get the guys to help me move the stuff. I get there, and there's 4 boxes sitting on the floor on the ground that he and I had said we're going to a Goodwill, going to some type of good cause.
Yeah.
And he had the shed that my stuff was in all boarded up, and he was standing there with a smirk on his face. His mom and dad were standing there, and he said, "Here's your stuff," and he pointed to the 4 boxes.
To the donation stuff.
Yes, he pointed to the donation stuff. I had rented the truck. I'd gotten my guys, and they were just laughing at me. I mean, that's the stuff they did. Um, so, it was funny because when I finally got my stuff 3.5 years later, it was the second year of our divorce anniversary.
Mm.
I will never forget that. And by then I had 2 sheds full of stuff. He had slammed it all into one shed and messed up a lot of it. It sat for 3 years in the hot and cold.
And so he had no interest in doing anything with it, only keeping it from you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2 boxes didn't fit into the one shed, so he just threw them away.
Yeah.
So, because I
And
know
so really it was just about, emotional manipulation and control.
and verbal abuse, and I mean, yeah. But I I learned a whole lot.
Yeah.
I learned a whole lot.
So how did you start to come through this? Like,
I call it being in the barrel, and the barrel's just turning and turning, and you're just like, you're helpless. You don't even have handholds.
yeah.
You're just rumbling around inside the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my family did not support me. They didn't want to hear about it. They didn't want to know nothing.
It went against the happy family portrait.
Oh yes, no. If you don't talk about it, it doesn't exist, because
Yeah.
that's how we play happy family.
Yeah.
But I've learned. I mean, now I realized the day that my boundaries had appeared, and it wasn't anything I did consciously, but they're like steel walls.
Mm.
And my boundaries are no more BS, no more mean or nasty people, no more drama. I just, there are just certain things that I just, no lying.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that I will not get close to.
Yeah.
When I am done with something, I am done.
Yeah.
And I mean, I used to joke, or I joke about this, but it's like my higher power, which I call God, it was like God was like poke, 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 smack, because just to hear, just to like, I'm sure he must have tried to get my attention numerous times
Mm-hmm.
to set boundaries, to be a stronger woman, but I didn't see those signs. So he just, metaphorically just popped me upside the head.
Yeah.
So I'm in this relationship that I needed.
Well,
And
that's what they say is we keep repeating the same circumstances, maybe different people, different, but the different things until we learn the lesson we were supposed to learn.
yes, yeah, and that's exactly what happened with me.
So
And so,
how have your current relationships changed?
oh gosh. Well, now that I'm stronger and the boundaries, buddy, they're still there. I have to say I do have a little bit of trust issues, which I work on as usual.
Yeah, of course.
Every day I still learn and grow every single day.
Yes.
There's nothing better. Um, but I've had, unfortunately, some of my friends had to go to the wayside because they were liars or they were full of BS or was full of drama.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't have the time nor energy for that
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 55, 56. And it's like, there's I mean, I'm just too old for that mess.
Yes.
I just don't have the energy, really. I just
Yeah.
don't have the
It's
energy for that.
it's draining.
It's very draining. It's so much easier to be positive and be an uplifting person or uplift your friends, because just because someone has a weakness, you don't slam them down.
Yeah.
You lift them up in some form of fashion
Mm-hmm.
and you help them if they want help. But I have this little saying real quick that I'll show you. I keep it on my desk to remind me. But it says, if you expect the world to be fair to you because you are fair, you're fooling yourself. That's like expecting the lion not to eat you because you didn't eat him first. And you can take that word fair, if you expect the word to be fair to you, if you expect the word to be good to you,
Yeah.
loyal to you, nice to you, friendly,
Yeah.
honest, they all fit right in that little.
Well, ultimately, we can't control anybody else
That's
except
right.
ourselves
Yeah, exactly.
and the environments that we put ourselves in.
Right. And so now, with all that I learned, I truly have been shown my true north.
Mm.
I really have been just shown my true north. And I am so blessed. And I do get a little emotional about it because it has been such a journey,
Yeah.
you know. But now I have terrific, wonderful relationships. You know, I have I have just some of the most supporting and loving friends, and who, who, I mean, really enjoy me for me, and
Yeah.
and there's just nothing better. I mean, if
Yeah.
you can be your true authentic self with it, like 5 people, that's wonderful.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. And so I just, that's that's what life is like now. And I am starting to dip my toes into the dating pool. The water's a little tepid. It's kind of, little sometimes cold, but I'm learning.
But and it just that whole idea, they always talk about, no one can love you like until you love yourself.
Right.
And
And respect yourself.
respect yourself. And you're clearly showing that, as you've come out of the other side of that so strong, and have,
I,
nurtured these other relationships. And yeah.
yeah, I didn't give up. I didn't give up. And I'm so thankful for all that I've been given. There were times when I was just like in a hole.
That was one of the things I was going to mention too, is, a a lot of times people feel bad because maybe it took them longer, they didn't push straight through, and it's like, it's almost like this game of ping pong, isn't it? Like, your eyes opened up, but then you went, well, maybe, and you went back a little bit, and then you went, well, and then, whoa, wait, what was this? He disappeared from a party, and then, oh, and then so it's not like, oh, I just marched right through
No,
this whole
no.
thing,
Yeah.
and no, there was struggle, there was really hard times, there was self-doubt, there was frustration, there
Oh,
was, and
and then being ashamed of how I behaved.
yeah, because then you get to this place and it's like, who am I don't even recognize
And
myself.
you know something? I am so different. I'm such a different person than before I met him.
Yeah,
Such a different person. And that means the world to me.
I think that was one of my biggest takeaways coming out of a very similar relationship, was just that, you know I'm really thankful for that, because it pushed me to become so much better of a person, than I
Yeah.
would have ever become if I had it easy. Because I was so depleted that I really had to do the work to build myself back up, and plus all that time, while I was there, just to get back to a baseline.
Right. Base level. Yeah,
Yes, and
exactly.
so now all of that is just, continuing to feed me and to make me an even better person every single day. I continue on that path, and
Right.
I don't know that I would have done that if I was so,
Oh,
satiated.
I wouldn't have,
Yeah,
because really most people are driven by pain.
exactly.
You're not going to
Exactly.
change. You're not going to change something unless it is hurting you somehow. If
Exactly.
you
So
know,
yeah,
but I
if
will.
you're satiated, you just kind of sit there and you live life day to day, and it's like, you know, I was just saying, this morning, now I live with intentionality. It's not about what's my day going to bring. It's like, how am I going to guide my day, and how am I going to guide my life?
And how am I going to serve?
Yeah,
Because really,
exactly.
when it comes down to it, that's what we're here for,
Yeah,
is to help others. But
yeah,
one thing that I did discover that I really like, that hit home for me, was that God was not doing these things to me, He was doing them for me.
yes.
And to know that, and to know just, I mean, I'm just like a 180. It's a 180 difference.
Hmm.
It just doesn't get any better than that.
I think, was it Mother Teresa that said, God only gives you as much as you can handle. I wish you didn't have so much faith in me.
Didn't trust me so much.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
because I tell you, and some of the struggles, you're down, you just feel beat down to the wire, and it's like, you think like, why bother?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like there's no other options.
Yeah. Or
And there
something's
are,
wrong with me. How's it going to be any better on the other
how's
side?
it
Or,
gonna, right?
yeah.
How's this gonna change?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is forever. And
Yeah.
that's what it feels like,
Yeah.
forever. But somehow, some way, it will be fine.
Yeah.
That I've learned. And I've also learned that I can look back in my history And all the times I worried about something and it came out fine,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my own history tells me not to worry about something now or in the future because it will work out fine.
It's everything is, yeah, it's all
And it's
laid
all
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's all like it's like full circle.
Yeah.
Just keep going around, and
Yeah.
so
What do you think might be the biggest takeaway for you? Like, what would be one thing you would want to tell someone who is maybe in a similar situation, pushing through a difficult relationship where they're not feeling valued or honored? Um, what would you want someone to know? What really helped you?
to know that you are truly strong enough, regardless of how bad you feel,
Yeah.
how much you want to give up, that inside you, there's a spark.
Mm,
There is a spark.
love that. Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. You're worth
All right.
fighting for. You're worth fighting for. That's
You
it.
definitely are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, I just,
Oh, you got me with that one. I love that.
that
That's
just is
good.
so close to the heart to me.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
yeah.
just doesn't get any better.
Donna, thank you so much for being willing to share your story and for being vulnerable with it because I mean, I know it spoke to me and there's so many people, but even if only one person says, "Man, that's what I needed to hear today." Was that not totally worth it?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
completely. Even people that are, they're fine. Their life is fine
yeah,
and they're comfortable.
but it's
No,
missing something.
it's just still, yeah, just
If you feel like
fine.
there's something missing, fight for it because you've got a
Right.
spark.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of people stay
Yeah.
in it
Yeah.
and you don't need to. You shouldn't. You don't have to.
No.
Just gotta find that spark.
Yes. I love it. Thank you so much, Donna. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you sharing with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely.